is Belinda Dubston, and it is wonderful that you are here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 31st of March, 2025. One little day, the last day of March, and then into April we go. So in the next few days, the April overview will be available for you to tune into April's energy. Okay, so let us look back to last week. We had that locked hexagram. We had 27, nourishment, the open mouth of the bird, learning to think differently around where we are hungry and malnourished, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And what do we need to do to really feed ourselves on those levels and feed others? Paying attention to our words, the power that they have to inspire, uplift, and comfort others, perhaps even push them to grow a little bit by speaking the truth, and talking about this idea, the difference between depletion and fatigue, finding ways of dealing with the intensity of life and putting back into ourselves the things that really make a difference, that bring energy back to us. If there was anything that came up for you from last week's overview, please do share a comment. Always lovely to hear your comments. All right, let's get into this week. It's not a locked hexagram. Okay, so maybe that is an omen of a busyness in April. Let's see what April's weekly I Ching overviews bring for us. So we have our first hexagram we are working with this week as we work with the I Ching to learn how to focus our attention and overcome the flows of change is hexagram 29, the Abysmal. This is a doubling of water. Okay, water on the top trigram, water on the bottom trigram. And the symbol that's created is this canyon, okay, coming down. And the water starting to come down. There's been a big flash flood upstream, and we can hear this water starting to barrel down, coming down the canyon towards you. Oh, you can just imagine. Okay, and we are on the side of this canyon, right? Okay, clinging on for dear life. What this hexagram brings risk, and it brings not being able to avoid the challenge coming towards us. Okay, not being able, there's no way that we can scramble out of this canyon, out of this abyss in time. Okay, it's not going to happen. So what we have to understand, the strategy that is appropriate to this flow. And that's what the I Ching brings us for all the hexagrams, is that there's a flow of energy and we need to make a strategic choice for the higher, for the superior person or the master, of how we deal with the flow. In this case, with this hexagram, okay, there is danger, there is risk, there is intensity, there's challenge, okay, all those lovely things we love so much. The way we deal with it is we don't cling onto the side of the mountain and hunker down in a fixed, locked position, okay, because the water is going to take us, okay. So what we don't do is we don't cling onto that side of the mountain, we grip on for dear life and anchor in and get overly structured, overly fixated and hard, okay, because we're going to go down. The way that we do it, which is counterintuitive, is that as the water is coming to us, we pace ourselves, we pick the right moment, and when the moment is right, we push off from the canyon wall and we plunge into the water and we let the water take us. Oh, I actually feel a little claustrophobic just thinking about that. And that's the point, right? Because when we have an experience of being in this accelerated flow, which you might experience as like things speeding up, right? That might be how you experience this hexagram. Like, whoa, there's just so much to do. And it's just all just barreling down at the same time. Okay, that might be the experience. It might be like this challenge that comes at you. It's got to be dealt with. And the way that we deal with it, we don't get over controlling, over hard, okay, and controlled. We actually let the water take us. We allow the energy of water to carry us forward and out of risk. So it's an interesting hexagram where it's challenging us to let go, to go with the flow, okay, and to trust the process. Very, very difficult. Like just the thought of pushing off from that canyon into the water, the cold, churning water coming down that abyss, down the ravine, makes me feel anxious. Can't tell you how anxious I feel just talking about it. But that's the idea, is that we've got to deal with the situation by actually launching ourselves into it. We can't try and stay out of it, avoid it, control it, not deal with it. We actually have to face this thing. So for whatever it is that's coming down the ravine for us, whether it's just excessive customers, too many quotes, too many sales, okay, lovely problem, or it's just challenge after challenge after challenge of difficulty on a project, whatever it might be that's coming down the ravine for us this week, we have to learn to push off. Very difficult. Okay, now we have one changing line this week, all right, but this is hexagram 29, so I can safely say that pretty much all the changing lines are challenging because it is an extremely challenging hexagram, all right, it's intense. And it's in position 3. Oh, you know the story. Okay, position 3 is the line just before we cross the chasm from the bottom trigram to the top. Okay, it's tricky. We haven't yet made the crossing. There's something still to be undertaken here. This line talks about there's something coming down this ravine, okay, that is too much for you to handle. Okay, it looks simple, but it is much more complicated, bigger and more ferocious than it seems on the outside. What we do is we pull back and we just get connected to what's really important. What do we really want? What's really important in this moment? What are our principles on this issue? And stay focused on that. There's just an energy of, there's something here that in the midst of this energy pumping down the ravine, there's something we could say yes to. And the hexagram line talks about a fatal diversion. That sounds really, really bad. Not a good outcome. All right, so what might be an opportunity that's presented to you this week? Okay, or something that you're working with that pops up where, oh yeah, we can handle that. That's no problem. But actually, it's this thing that is like a monster. Okay, it has implications and is going to demand too much of you right now on a particular area. Not that you can't handle it some other time, but it's almost like it's too much. It's just could take you down a path where when you step into it and you start working with it, you realize, oh my word, this is just too much. I didn't realize it was this consuming. Okay, that's what we're needing to pay attention to because it takes us off our path. So what's very important, right, this week, we just have to be vigilant, not hold onto the rocks for dear life because this energy is pumping through the week. But with this particular changing line, the warning is saying yes to things when you haven't really got all the information and you haven't thought it through right now in this week is contraindicated because there's a risk of saying yes to something that is much bigger than what you can handle, okay, has complexity to it you'd never seen, and can take you down a fatal diversion. None of us want that. Okay, so it's not about being paranoid this week about that either, but all the I Ching is wanting us to do is just hold back. Okay, ask ourselves the questions. What do we really want here? Okay, are we saying yes to this because it seems like a fun, cool thing to do right now? But is this actually inherently connected with what we are trying to build in our lives, our personal lives, our business, and our teams? Is it important? Is it part of the next step? Or is it a diversion that could be fatal? Don't you love the ominous tone of some of the I Ching messaging? Okay. All right, so that is our changing line. Just think and rethink and question your judgment this week on decisions you're saying yes to, or projects that have been presented to you, or opportunities that have come up. And we will avoid the fatal diversion. Okay, so where does it lead? Our next hexagram, our second hexagram for the week, which works in parallel, is hexagram 48, the well. Because we only have one changing line changing, okay, and we have a doubling of water when we started. We are still in water, right? We are still got a strong water element to the week. This time it's water on the top and it is wind or wood on the bottom. The well creates the image of the wind wood, like the bucket coming out, at the bottom of the well and pulling the water up. Okay, that is the image created by these two trigrams. The well represents our structures, our methodologies, our business systems, our network, our infrastructure, our teams, our bodies even, the structures, the man-made structures, as it were, that are put in place to allow us to tap into the inexhaustible supply. So a well is symbolized by this bucket, right? But it's not a bucket. The bucket is the tool that brings the water up. The well is actually the whole thing. And what the well does is we build the well to tap into the reserve, right? Because abundance, on whatever level we are looking at it, is this inexhaustible thing that is not in our physical world or in our emotional mental world, because we have somehow put a barrier between ourselves and it, right? We are responsible for, we are cut off from this flow, but the flow is there, right? It's like oxygen. The oxygen is there. We can choose to breathe or not. Yes, we choose to breathe. Okay, so when we work with the well, it's a very different energy of water to the energy of doubling of water, abysmal. Okay, that's like this hectic pumping water is pumping down the ravine. It's wild. It feels out of control. It feels risky. It feels all-consuming. And then the well is a controlled structure that has been placed and built for purpose, tapping into the water that's there and drawing up the water in a controlled manner, the water that we need, the nourishment we need. And considering we had nourishment last week, this water is pumping. Okay, so whatever we did last week to tap into nourishment, the nourishment is now pumping this week. Okay, so when we work with the well, we work with thinking about the underlying structure, the underlying methodology, the network, the systems. In a business in particular, it's your business methodology, the thing that allows you to tap into the market, to tap into good team members, to tap into excellence. Think about what your well means. And when we look at these two hexagrams together as a story, there's this energy pumping. Okay, there's a risk of too much, okay, and saying yes to things that are outside our flow. We have to be cautious of that. And then there's the structure that allows us to focus the water. Not the wild water rushing down the river, but the water in the underground streams and the springs, okay, that exists, and drawing it up in a controlled manner. So I see the story as the shift we are needing to make this week is to shift towards using the structures that we've created to tap into and harness the water, the flow, the nourishment that we need, the resources, the cash, whatever it is for you. And the wildness of saying yes to these projects and ideas, right? Line 3 is not where we need to be. We almost need to be reaching out as we're working with this flow that's pumping through our lives this week. The abysmal, we reach out to the structure, all right? The controlled environment, building something that taps into the reserve, all right? That's where our attention is moving forward as we move towards victory. This hexagram 48, the well, allows us to build the structure. So think about in your life, where are the structures that you are missing to allow you to tap into the resources you need? People, cash, customers, friends, whatever it might be. What do we need to do to focus on the structure we are using to do that, the network we are using to do that, and harness this water energy that wants to pump through the week by understanding the well, the structure that helps us to focus the energy and tap into the water as we need it, as opposed to having the water barreling down the ravine towards us. There's a maturing energy here of applying a tool to tap into the energy in a controlled way. And I think that if we work with these two in that way this week, we're going to have some wonderful insights around how do we focus this flow, right? How do we work with transforming this raw energy, the power of abysmal, the risk, the flow, the intensity of the challenge, and transform it into a structured process where we are in control of drawing up what we need, and it's inexhaustible. You put the bucket down, fresh, clean water. Pull another bucket up. It never ends. On demand, 100%. A lovely combination of energy if we can just work with this Hexagram 29, Abysmal, in the right way and move forward without jumping into fatal diversions. Okay, I'm with you as we go through it, working in my own life through these hexagrams. Thank you for being here with me for this weekly overview as we tap into the beginnings of April. We'll soon see what the overview for April has in store for us as we journey out of March. Thank you, March, for all your wonderful blessings you brought to us this past month, all the learning we went through, all the locked hexagrams, what will happen next. If this was valuable to you, a thumbs up, a like would be great. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe and the bell button and the follow button on the podcasts. Thank you for being here with me, and I will see you very soon for our monthly I Ching forecast.